is Autism Awareness Month, and today we'll find out what it's like to live with autism here in New Jersey. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jamie Lindrohan, and you're watching Eye on Ocean County. Our guest today is Dr. Linda Meyer, Executive Director for Autism New Jersey, and today we're talking about the many programs that you offer to New Jersey residents. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Why don't you talk to us about Autism New Jersey? You were formerly known as COSAC, so talk to us about that name change.
COSAC was founded about 43 years ago. I'm new as an executive director. I started about a year and a half ago, and COSAC stood for the Center for Outreach and Services for the Autism Community, and it pretty much said what we do. But the name change is important to Autism New Jersey because now you know exactly what we do and where we do it very quickly.
I see. Well, exactly what do you do here in New Jersey?
We're a nonprofit agency, and we support individuals with autism and the families and the professionals who support them. And we do that through advocacy work and education and training.
Okay, and what role do you play with the organization?
I'm the executive director of Autism New Jersey, and my role is to represent the agency, but really to help all the wonderful directors at Autism New Jersey to do their job better. We have a director of advocacy, we have a director of communications, a director of information, and a clinical director.
And when it comes to autism rates, New Jersey is the highest in the nation. Why is that?
New Jersey has the highest prevalence rates, which means that there are more people being identified with autism. The national prevalence rate is 1 in 150. Here in New Jersey, it's 1 in 94. That doesn't necessarily mean we have more autism in New Jersey. Okay. We're just doing a better job at identifying it.
Oh, I see. So that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
Okay.
It's a good thing that we're identifying it.
All right. Well, talk to our viewers about the characteristics of autism.
Well, when you talk about autism, you're actually talking about autism spectrum disorders. Autism spectrum disorders is a developmental disability, and it's the only developmental disability that isn't specifically defined. It's described. So we're talking about autism, pervasive developmental disabilities not otherwise specified, that's so hard, PDD-NOS, and we're talking about Asperger's syndrome or Asperger's disorder. And people with autism have problems with language, behavior, and communication. People with PDD-NOS have problems with behavior, language, and communication. You might say, Linda, you just said the same thing, and it's true. It's the same three characteristics, same three challenges, but to a slightly lesser degree.
Okay.
And then individuals with autism have difficulty with social skills and behavior, but certainly not language. They usually present as very adept in language skills. In fact, they tend to be very fascinated with some esoteric subjects and tend to perseverate on those subjects. And we fondly refer to young students with Asperger's in our classes sometimes as little professors. They're expert fact keepers.
I see. And for those who do suffer in communicating, they have problems with communication, why do they have problems in communication?
Well, that's the nature of the disorder, and we're so concerned that we don't know yet what causes autism, so we're not exactly sure why language problems manifest themselves. But it's difficulties with receptive language, which means understanding what you hear, as well as expressive language, trying to get your message across to people in a meaningful way.
Is this hard to diagnose?
It's very hard to diagnose, and it needs to be done by a pediatric neurologist or a pediatrician or a clinician who is familiar with the disability. So many people overlook autism and miss the early signs.
I see. And what are the early signs? What should we look out for?
You should be looking for joint attention or a child trying to engage even before they have verbal language. Young children look at their mothers and fathers, they respond to their names, they smile, they point if they want something. And if your child isn't doing that by about age 2, you should ask for some help.
And is age 2 the age in which it usually presents itself?
It can present itself as early as 16 months and sometimes even earlier, but it must be diagnosed before age 3. Autism is always diagnosed and presents itself before age 3.
And if we have parents who are watching right now and they are concerned about their child, what type of doctor should they take them to?
I think they could go to a developmental pediatrician, their own pediatrician, as the first stop. But please, as a parent, I urge parents parents not to accept from a doctor, or delay in language is natural, or you can wait, because access to early intervention is so important. Don't let a doctor delay you from seeking help.
I see, and I know it's important to you as well to raise awareness about autism here in New Jersey. Talk to us about that.
Well, April is Autism Awareness Month, but at Autism New Jersey, we have 12 months of awareness, and I'm surprised at the numbers of people who still don't understand autism spectrum disorders. They have misinformation, inaccurate information, and sometimes no information at all. So our goal is to try to not only educate families and professionals, but the community. So our folks with autism can be fully included in the communities where they live, work, and play.
Excellent. I know you also have a listening tour initiative. What is that all about?
I'm really excited. The board of directors at Autism New Jersey, with their new name, decided we should engage in a strategic planning process. So about a year ago, we reached out to the community and said, what should we be doing? What can we do? What are your needs? And we came up with 5 very broad goals, and 3 important ones are to continue to educate and advocate and engage in advocacy efforts. The second one is to continue to educate and train. But the third is to serve the underserved, to reach out to those people we've never reached out to before. And we decided we were going to conduct a listening tour. We have about 100 interviewers who have been trained to go into the communities in every county in New Jersey to talk to people who we've never talked to before, but more importantly, to listen to people we've never listened to before, about their dreams, their hopes, their needs, their aspirations. We'll gather that information by July in what we call a blueprint of lifetime support services. And Autism New Jersey will use that to direct its future services, but it'll be available to policymakers in Trenton. It'll be available to other nonprofit agencies, other schools, other programs, and we can truly understand what's needed and how we can help.
I see. What words of encouragement can you offer parents or guardians who are currently raising a child with autism?
I'm really excited to share that all people with autism can learn throughout their lifespan, not only in preschool programs, school programs, but through adult life. Through systematic instruction, individuals with autism can continue to grow and be included in their families and in the community. The families just need to seek the right help.
I see. Well, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Appreciate it.
We're going to take a short break right now, but please stay tuned. We've just talked with Dr. Linda Meyer, Executive Director for Autism New Jersey, and when we come back, we'll speak with an advocate for autism for New Jersey here right after this break, so please stay tuned.
Rock and roll.
What?
Just something simple. It says rock and roll.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man. I love rock and roll.
Okay, dude.
Some mistakes in life are permanent. Like hearing loss. To learn how to protect your hearing, visit asha.org.
We love our pets. Our pets are family to us, but disasters can take you by surprise and change your entire life in a second. It's up to you to make sure your family is safe. And the best thing you can do is prepare. To find out how to protect your family, including your pets, in an emergency, please visit the ASPCA website or Tony LaRussa's Animal Rescue Foundation website. Be a responsible pet parent and be prepared.
Dancing takes rhythm. Rhythm gets you in step with the beat. Some of us have rhythm, some of us don't. When your heart gets out of rhythm, though, it could be more serious than a misstep. It takes a skilled specialist to get your heart back in rhythm. DuBois Heart and Lung Center has a specialty institute to fix your irregular heartbeats. Give us a call at 800-555-1990. We can make you feel like dancing again. The rest is up to you.
Across America, service learning is helping students improve their grades and their communities by connecting the classroom with community service. Working together, students solve real problems, build new skills, and apply their knowledge in a whole new way. Inside the classroom and out, service learning opens new doors and brings learning to life. Get your school involved. Visit learnandserve.gov to find out how.
Welcome back to Eye on Ocean County. I'm Jamie Lindrohan, and today we're talking about autism in New Jersey. Right now we're speaking with Leslie Long, Director of Public Policy for Autism New Jersey. Thanks so much for joining us. Great to speak with you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, why don't you talk to us about the importance of advocacy for autism here in New Jersey?
Well, here in New Jersey, we're very fortunate because we have legislative leaders that have committed to supporting the autism community throughout New Jersey. So we're fortunate in that we have Assembly Speaker Roberts in the Assembly. We have the governor that's committed to autism legislation. We have people on the Senate side, Senator Sweeney. So we're really fortunate that our legislators absolutely understand the commitment to public policy for people on the autism spectrum.
Okay, and what's the best way for families to advocate for their loved ones?
I think getting to know your local legislator is very important. Legislators, particularly in New Jersey, and also our federal legislators. Congressman Smith has been very vocal about his support to the autism community. They want to hear from you. They want to know, what are the issues you're facing every day? Did you have trouble getting your child diagnosed? Are you having trouble getting your child into a school district, an adult program? Those kinds of issues, they need to know exactly what your challenges are, what you're facing. Because of their commitment, they're going to help through public policy to make sure that you have the access and the services that you need. But they need to know you as a person. They need to hear your personal stories. And getting to know them, making an appointment with them is one of the best things you can do to preserve advocacy in the state of New Jersey.
And how important is that support from the state level?
It's extremely important, but it's one piece of it. The governor is certainly committed to supporting people on the autism spectrum, but he needs to hear on the daily challenges that people face. And that also is done through the local legislators, calling your local senator, calling your local assemblyman, calling your U.S. senator. Those kinds of conversations can only happen coming from you as a person. But our public policy leaders can set policy, they can describe how to access state government, but unless they hear from you about the daily challenges, then it's difficult for them to put policy in place that really is impactful.
Okay.
There's a lot of discussion going on how can state government help, whether it's the economy, whether it's services, but they really need to understand the personal challenges people face to really impact legislation.
All right, so let's say we've got mom and dad watching right now. They're raising a child with autism. They live here in Ocean County. Who should they call, and what should they say to start that conversation?
Well, one of the things that we've set up through our website, which is at autismnewjersey.org, is you can find your local legislator. You can also go through the state's website, newjersey.gov, and you'll be able to find your legislator. Find out who is your local legislator, no matter where you live in the state. You have 2 assemblymen or woman, you have a senator. You want to call those 3 individuals and you want to set appointments. And again, we have 2 U.S. senators in New Jersey. We have Senator Menendez and Senator Lautenberg on the federal level. And in this area, you have Congressman Smith. So you can find that through either nj.gov or our website, but you should be able to find your local legislator. You can always call us at the office, we'll help you, and make an appointment to share your stories.
I see, and I understand that Senator Menendez is also reintroducing his Helping Hands bill.
Yes, we were very fortunate, and we're very fortunate that we have 2 U.S. senators that are extremely committed to serving the autism community, as well as now we have a president who is committed to serving people on the autism spectrum. Senator Menendez introduced what was called the Helping Hands Act to deal with housing, navigation of services, and first responders throughout the country to be trained on autism awareness in general. He is reintroducing that particular legislation in in the federal government.
I see. And why is he reintroducing it? Did it not receive enough support the first time around?
New legislative session. So he's reintroduced. There was a lot of support for that. It's a new legislature. So we are really supportive of that package getting reintroduced and discussed in this particular legislative session.
I understand you're also really pleased with the Speaker's package as well.
Absolutely. In our state, Assembly Speaker Roberts made a very strong commitment to people on the autism spectrum. He did several years ago a package of autism legislation. He had another package, and we've seen the benefit of the second package, first responders training. Now, everyone that is a first responder in the state of New Jersey will be trained to recognize the signs of autism. And as you heard from Dr. Meyer in the previous session, it's very important to recognize the signs of autism. Imagine if you're a first responder and you're responding to a fire or an emergency. You need to understand how to respond to somebody on the autism spectrum. So thanks to Speaker Roberts, we saw that introduced, passed, and the governor signed it. So that's just one of the items and one of the bills that the Speaker had introduced.
Okay, and what type of goals have been set by the governor's Adults with Autism Task Force?
We're in the process now of a public hearing, so we're hearing from the public, and by June 2009, we will have a report to the governor and to the legislature on what we need to do for adults on the autism spectrum in New Jersey. We know we need employment opportunities. There are people that want to work, that are committed to work and could be incredible, valuable employees. And in this economy, we need to commit to people that want to work and find those opportunities. Housing. New Jersey is incredibly unaffordable. Imagine if you're now have challenges and barriers. So obviously housing, and everybody knows that, New Jersey, as you're indicating. Training professionals. There are not enough people that understand how to work with people on the autism spectrum. So that is, and just in general, the navigation of services. If you're a parent and you're dealing with the diagnosis of autism, you have to work, you have other items in your life that are going on, you don't know where to turn, where to get help, how to get services. Navigating the system is a critical policy issue. We need to implement an Office of Autism. We do that at Autism New Jersey. There needs to be an endorsement that the state needs to take the lead.
And you were talking about issues when it comes to health care issues. What issues are you facing?
People that have children diagnosed on the autism spectrum aren't necessarily covered by their private health insurance. Most people don't realize that. So if you need therapy for your child, your private insurance, because of the diagnosis of autism, can turn you down. So we are in the process of educating. Our state leaders already know this. Speaker Roberts has introduced legislation, as well as Senator Vitale, to cover autism spectrum disorders.
I see.
So we are really pushing for private health insurance to cover autism spectrum disorders.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been great speaking with you today. Our guest has been Leslie Long, Director of Public Policy for Autism New Jersey. We're going to take a short break right now, but when we come back, we'll talk about living with autism here in New Jersey. Stay tuned. Eye on Ocean County will be right back after these messages.
Hey guys, thanks for coming.
Are we in trouble?
No, you're not in trouble. I just want to set some ground rules.
Like what?
Well, remember last week when you hit Vinny in the head with the shovel?
I do not recall that.
Of course not. Well, it was pretty graphic. Too graphic for the kids. So I'm going to have to block you.
You know, I got to make this up to you. This is Vinny's watch, and I want you to have it. You deserve it.
No, thank you. That's really not necessary.
No. Come here.
Community Center, in great need of repair, fell into disuse, and its rundown condition rubbed off on everyone around it. Until a group of good neighbors gave up their Saturday to help fix it up, which inspired the community and led to a renewed enthusiasm in the neighborhood. Every year, over 30,000 volunteers participate in Comcast Cares Day to make improvements like this in neighborhoods far and wide. Comcast, your neighborhood is our neighborhood.
We all wear masks to be beautiful, look cool, and transform ourselves into our greatest dream. But not all transformations are easy. When it comes to transforming your smile, covering flaws instead of correcting them can put your dental health at risk. An orthodontist can improve your smile by getting to the root of the problem. When considering a transformation, visit an orthodontist to unmask a healthy, beautiful smile.
Your heart rate's a little fast.
Cause of death, acute myocardial infarction.
Have you tried a weight loss program?
Likely caused by type 2 diabetes and heart disease.
Still smoking?
Victim's lungs are black and scarred.
You can get a physical exam now, or you can get one later. Talk to your doctor about a physical. Learn how to lower your risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease and live a healthier life.
Welcome back to Eye on Ocean County. I'm Jamie Lindrohan, and right now we're talking with Bobby Gallagher. She's a parent of 2 children on the autism spectrum. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Well, talk to our viewers about your experience raising 2 children with autism.
Well, raising them from the time they're little until now has been a whirlwind, I would have to say, and we've gone through quite a bit with our kids. Our 2 children would be considered on the lower end of the spectrum or profoundly affected by their autism, so they've required a lot of attention over the years. We have 3 children total. Our oldest daughter, Chelsea, is typical, but Alana and Austin are fortunate enough to have her in their lives and to be able to work with us to try and get the best out of them. She's been a great help for us. But they are now 16 and 18.
Okay.
And for teenagers, it really does become difficult for us as parents and as families to try and find activities for them. When you would look at a typical family who has kids with teenagers, they're getting their license, they're rarely ever home, you got to scream at them to come back for dinner, you know, all the things.
Your phone.
Exactly. So all the things that we don't experience, but the problem that we do have is that our children's lives are very limited. They live within sort of a box of our home, you know, the yard and the house itself, or the extent to which they're allowed to experience, and that's very difficult. The older they get, when they're younger, that's not so hard. You put the playground up in the backyard, you try and keep them active, but as they get older, their interests obviously aren't going to be going on the swing or going down the slide anymore, but at the same time we don't have the services or the places to take them, and they don't have the ability to go outside or do things on their own, and so that's where it becomes more difficult as they become teenagers.
And now you're facing a whole new outlook. Your 18-year-old is about to finish school, correct?
Yes. Well, a lot of, they do go until they're 21, but 18 is sort of the mile marker where we as parents suddenly realize we really only have 3 years left. And 3 years is going to go by pretty quick for us, and so it's scary, especially because where they do fall on the spectrum, the level of care they've needed so far has been in a one-to-one situation through school, and those sorts of services aren't available to them necessarily once they reach the age of 21, and that's what we have to sort of advocate for now and fight for, and hope that we can get other parents to join us with. Our children who need this level of service kind of get lost now. They can't work in a work area by just a job coach. They need different services. They need a different level of service, day programs, as opposed to totally vocational or work skills. And that's where we are lacking here in New Jersey.
I see. Now the 18-year-old, is that Austin or
No, that's Alana.
Alana,
our daughter Alana.
So once Alana's 21, what's next for her? How do you plan for that?
That's probably the scariest thing we're going through right now, and in talking with other families that we've gone through school together with, we're all at that same place right now. We're hitting this 18-year age, and we're all kind of very frightened. We don't really know where to go next. There are some adult programs out there for children. They're not enough. As we know, we do have a high prevalence here, and as all of these children start to become 18, we don't have the number, just the people we need trained to work with our children, the facilities that we need just to have a place for them. We don't have that yet, and that's what we're really fighting for.
I see. Are there any myths that you'd like to dispel about autism?
Well, the biggest one that I'm going to say right away is that they're not loving, or they're not affectionate. And for me, having 2 children with autism, I was extremely blessed with having 2 very affectionate children with autism. So that's definitely a myth. And some of the other things, I think when we see people on the higher end of the spectrum, I work with a lot of families and children who are on the higher end, because they have language, people have a tendency to say they don't have autism.
I see. Well, we're going to take a short break right now. More to come, though, from Bobby Gallagher here on Eye on Ocean County. Stay tuned.
Out of all the things I've done in my life, and the drugs I've tried, meth was the one that I thought would put me in my grave. And it would have. If I did not have a strong family who finally stepped through the meth wall and yanked me back to life. Maybe you can help someone get their life back.
What's it like when you hear your calling? Will you ignore it? Or will you listen? What if it calls you to go halfway around the world? To serve people you've never met? What will you do when you hear your calling? Peace Corps, life is calling. How far will you go?
Explore her grandeur. Appreciate her beauty. Protect her for tomorrow. Recycle your old rechargeable batteries. Call 877-2-RECYCLE or visit us online at calltorecycle.org.
Rhythm. Ah, the rhythm of the beat is so sweet. But when the beat gets out of sync, you lose that rhythm. So it is with your heart. When your heartbeat loses its rhythm, you may have a serious problem. Don't worry. Deborah Heart and Lung Center has a specialty institute to fix your irregular heartbeats. Give us a call at 800-555-1990. We can get your heart rhythm back. The rest is up to you.
Welcome back to Eye on Ocean County. We're talking with Bobby Gallagher. She is a parent of 2 children with autism. Right now, I want you to talk about how our parents at home can become advocates for their children.
Certainly. Well, the first thing you can do is call Autism New Jersey and get in contact with the people there. I've been a member of Autism New Jersey since '94 when Alana was first diagnosed, and just a great support system for me. They have support groups throughout the state that parents can go to and learn more about not just autism, but the programs that are available to them out there. Parents need to go to their conference that they have every year and to learn about the different techniques that work with our children, scientifically based techniques that we're all trying to push out there, that they learn to work with their kids so that when they go to look at schools and to look at places for their children, they're knowledgeable about what it is that they need. But in addition, for those of us with older kids, we need to get involved with Autism New Jersey to make sure that we are following through with our legislators, making sure that we're pushing for the different services that our adults are going to need, because this is really, in my eyes, it's really going to be a crisis almost in a few years when all of these children start to age, and we as parents need to tell Autism New Jersey what we need. They're not going to know without our information, which hopefully the listening tour will bring out, but truly everybody should be calling. Even if you can't be a part of the listening tour, just call them.
But ultimately, there's hope for children with autism.
There's incredible hope, and there's a lot of love. There's a lot of love and hope for kids to move through this, and people will be okay.
Great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Great talking to you today.
Yes,
good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Our guest has been Bobby Gallagher. She's the parent of 2 children with autism here in New Jersey. I'm Jamie Lindrohan for Eye on Ocean County. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.